That's my uncle right there. Thank you very much. It's always good to have family in the audience. This is a little bit last minute for myself. I was not prepared to talk about our financial situation. Seeing how I just took over the reins, what was that, Tim, this week? And haven't even looked at our financial statements, though I am a banker, so when I do look at them, I will have very insightful comments, I promise.
Sure. We have about 16 geothermal plants here, which made, and currently makes Imperial County the second largest geothermal energy producing county in the nation, which is something we need to get proud of. Now, we're only second to Lake County, which is up in the north where they have the geysers, but with development of projects like with Ormat, Raleigh North, Raleigh East, and also Cal Energy's new projects there, Imperial and Iceland America, and Char. Yes, thank you. Who said that? Larry? Was that you, Larry? And Ram Power and other groups. We will soon, very soon, I'm sure, confident, we will be the largest geothermal energy producing county in the nation. County is our water resource, and as we know, that's become a particularly important issue over the last few years. And water for new geothermal projects in particular, and some solar projects, is something that we've worked on with IID, and we've worked with IID, IBEDC on our Energy Committee in developing, as they have developed their new interim water supply policy. And just last week, or earlier this week, the first contract for development of new water supply for the Char and new geothermal project of the Salt City was approved. I want to thank IID.
I'm a private sector management consultant. I run an organization called Team California, which is exactly like your IBEDC, only it represents the entire state of California. So if you think it's hard corralling this group, try and corral the entire state of California and present one message to anybody that might be interested in investing in California. It can be an incredible challenge. The good news is exactly what Marlene was speaking about. We have control over what we say, how we act, and what we do when we're speaking with companies that are looking at our area. I got to tell you that if you didn't know what you were doing 10 years ago when you formed this organization, you did a really good job. This organization is well respected. I travel up and down the state. I am international, national, in California probably 2 to 3 times a month. And people know about Imperial Valley. A lot of the reason behind that is because of the external marketing you do. A lot of that is because Tim is out there literally dragging them over to the booth, over to a meeting to hear about what's going on in your area. I got to tell you a great story about Tim when we were at the solar conference, and a number of you were actually there. It was so fun, Andy and a couple of others. But Tim was out there at the booth. Now here we are, big, huge, California display. Then we've got the Imperial Valley sign standing up there with all of the things, and we're all in gold polo shirts that say California. We've got a very uniform, nice-looking thing happening. If you've ever worked a trade show, 8 hours dressed up on your feet, talking to people about your area, trying to think of something fresh and new, trying to get them to come into the booth, going out and visiting other manufacturers at their booth, it can be exhausting. Everybody's idea between, when your shift ends at 5 o'clock and when the next event takes place, which is usually about an hour and a half later, is I want to go back to the room, want to change, want to freshen up, want to call the family, blah, blah, blah. Tim's like, we're getting in the car and we're going over to this guy's house in Dana Point who's got all these Spanish investors in and we need to meet him, and Mary, you need to meet him. And I'm like, what? And off we go. And it was very impressive. I walked in and I thought, wow. The thing you guys have going for you in Imperial Valley is you have supported somebody and an organization that is actually out there doing some of the footwork. Because if we're not out there talking to people, they're talking about us. And if we don't put the right spin on it, it will be wrong. For example, everybody thinks all of California's companies are going to Nevada. How many times do you hear that? Constantly. Oh, they're packing up, they're moving to Nevada. Nevada spends a lot of money telling people that. What was the state in Colorado that dropped a bunch of hearts on California here not so long ago saying, you know, come to Colorado, we'll love you, we'll take care of you. Basically insinuating that the state of California and all of us don't really care whether business is here putting people to work or not. And the reality is the state of Nevada has a higher unemployment rate than California does, but you don't hear about that. And one of the reasons is because the state of California doesn't do a very good job of marketing themselves. The state of California doesn't do a very good job of communicating, here's what's going on here. And how do we get that information and how do we get it out there is the task that Team California does. We're a private nonprofit just like you're a private nonprofit, right? Yeah. We're a private nonprofit just like Imperial Valley EDC. We have members of EDCs throughout the state that are members of our organization. We're supported by most of the utilities in the state of California, and our job is to take really good information and communicate it. And it's very, very important because everybody's looking for how not to do what just happened to all of us, how not to end up with a recession that just seems to come out of nowhere where we all go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have invested in that Hawaii property back in, you know, '06 because it's falling apart right now. The reality is we need to be out there communicating what's going on in our area. Venture capital in the Bay Area and throughout the state of California is higher than it is anywhere in the nation. But we don't always hear about that. And venture capital will drive where jobs go in the state and in the nation because people will come here. A major marketing arm that we use, a major marketing pitch that we use came out of the Time magazine article that came out of the governor's office probably 2 months ago. In fact, I think it came out when we were all at the Solar International Show. And that was, you know, if you're not innovating it, creating it, or doing it better, we don't want you in California. And that's an okay message because we do things better and we do create and we do innovate. And it's why you continually see foreign investment looking at us because things are different here. And that's good, you know. People want to say, oh, California's full of, you know, crazy people. Well, you know, okay, come sit down. Come sit down and talk to us about your business. If you come by the booth to trash us, we're not interested. And I tell all the people that when we do these marketing missions, it's very detailed. It's way more than setting up a booth and standing there. We have private meetings with companies that are there. I serve on the Solar Planning International Trade Show Planning Committee, and last year was able to stand up before all of these people that came to a session and say, hi, I'm Mary Ingersoll and I represent the state of California. Arizona wanted to underwrite most of that event, and they didn't let them do it, and they let us come and be a part of it because we're in California. They want to see it happen here. There are lots of people here that don't want to see businesses leave, that don't want to hear all the negative things about California. So we need to surround ourselves with that, and we need to continually communicate that. Team California is an organization that's member-driven, just like yours. So the reality is, stay involved in IVEDC because you're doing the right thing. They're out there talking about you, and they're using the information you give them to best communicate your story. So if you aren't involved and you aren't giving Tim information, you aren't saying, hey, why aren't you talking about us while we're out there? How can I get my company or my industry more involved? You need to be doing that. You need to pick up the phone and say, how do I get involved? You saw a number of presentations tonight, people getting awards. That's terrific. There's economic development organizations in this state that are closing. And they're closing because they don't have the kind of grassroots support that you do. They don't have people going, hey, I forget who it was, the county supervisor or the county, Mitchell? Mike. Well, Mitchell. I'm Portuguese, we're not really good with names. He said to me, you know, Tim's always saying, well, let's go, you know, let's go to China, let's go here. Don't look at your economic development organization and say, oh God, they're out there spending money, they're just constantly going somewhere. Well, trust me, they have to. We all have to. You know, I was sort of second-guessing myself today as I came over from San Diego and was driving along and saw the weather change about 27 times in the span of about 17 miles. I said, my God, I'm taking pictures, you know, as I'm sort of looking at the road, texting my kids back going, hey, I'm in the snow, hey, I'm in the fog, hey, look, Border Patrol. I mean, there is stuff going on here that does not happen in Granite Bay, California, I can tell you that. And that's the good thing. And that's the good thing. Here's the man. You all tough, and you've got a lot of people in your own area that are unemployed, and that's going to continue for a little while. But if you're not planting the seeds now and continuing the work, it will get worse for you. It may get better for other areas, but it will get worse for you. And you're not taking that tact. You're doing exactly the opposite. So I applaud you for that. You know, you've got a full house on a Friday night. I've been in economic development 20 years. I've never been to an event on a Friday night for an economic development corporation. Nobody would come. I'm thinking, what is, this is good. Your cities are here, your WIB is here. You've got foreign investors here. I mean, tell everybody what you're doing because you're doing a good job. And I'm really glad to be here. And I'm gonna look at my notes, which I don't normally do because there was something else I wanted to say. And, oh, okay, well this is actually important. The thing I wanted to communicate that Tim kept telling everybody, oh, and she's gonna come down here and tell you how to make money in the next 24 hours. The reality is, I'm not an economist, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you where government's energy is being spent right now in California, and that's on green technology. You've probably read about it. You know, Governor Schwarzenegger has said that his reigning administration will go out on the flag of green technology. He is putting a number of his staff resources. We met last week as a board in Sacramento with Victoria Bradshaw, who's the head of Labor and Workforce Development, and Dale Bonner, who's the head of Business, Transportation, and Housing. And they both said, this is the governor's edict. He wants green jobs, he wants them created. So there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of people energy going into that right now. And the good news about green technology is you don't have to be Los Angeles, you don't have to be the Bay Area, you don't even have to be the Central Valley. You can be upstate, you can be San Diego, you can be any part of California in green technology. Everybody's like, I want to buy green, I want to do business green. It's like, I'm going to charge more for this, and you're like, yeah, I want that. I want to be a part of that. It's where it's going right now. So the nice thing about your area is I'm not standing here before you saying it's back office space. You guys got to have nice, 300,000 and 400,000 square foot buildings so that they can put an AT&T call center here. And that's where it was 20 years ago when I was doing economic development in Tulare County. That's the kind of stuff that we were getting. Distribution, back office spaces. What we're looking at now is a complete shift in what's growing in terms of company locations. The green sector, the state of California is getting numerous inquiries all about green technology. Tim can verify that. Solar, renewable energies. Everything is about doing it different and doing it green. The good news about that is it doesn't matter whether you're building houses, selling loans, processing food, like, obviously agriculture is the #1 stay or a significant part of it here in Imperial Valley. The reality is it will touch you, you will be able to change how you're doing something, and that industry will infiltrate, and you will create jobs from that. So look at green technology, make sure you're at the shows, make sure you have a piece, a handout to talk about how you can get to be a part of that, and work your committees to that end. Work your committees to talk about how do we get to be a piece of that, what do we need to do? Because it is absolutely a big direction, and the nice thing about it, like I say, is you don't have to have even a university, you just have to have an existing base of industry. And the last thing I want to leave you with is a little personal story, and that is that my first job in economic development was in Sacramento, and I worked at the Sacramento Area Commerce and Trade Organization, which was very sophisticated, much like your San Diego Regional Economic Development Corporation, multi-regional, we were always doing something. My first real job running an EDC by myself was in Tulare County. I'm driving along, and I've got a client in the car, and he's looking out at all this vast land, and he says, so what crop is that? And I'm thinking, oh my God. And I'm looking at it, and it's low, and I said, I think it's wheat. He says, no, that's wheat. And I said, it could be like low-growing grapes. And he's looking at me going, oh my God, who have they stuck me in the car with? Not 10 minutes later, we run flat out of gas. I mean, I was so nervous about getting there's a lot to go into taking a company around, You guys want to sit around sometimes and say, Tim, why didn't those jobs come in? Where are those jobs? Where are those companies? You have no idea unless you've done it what goes into just having a group in town, all the little things that happen along the way to make it go just right and answer all their questions. And I can tell you that Tim probably has never had a client where he's ran out of gas. It is one of the single most embarrassing things you can have happen. Great guy, he just says, okay, well, we'll push the car over here. I'm, hyperventilating. I'm thinking, oh my God, I have my first client and I've run out of gas. He did not locate in the county. However, the farmer, that's a true story. The farmer that we passed with the wheat and whatever else it was growing on, I think it might have been oranges, clearly wasn't grapes. He got me on the board of the Tulare County International Agri-Center Board. And I have worked the Tulare County Farm Equipment Show for 6 years when I ran that EDC. And I can tell you, you guys are absolutely doing the right thing by being there. There is a ton of business that takes place down there. And they are creating a whole different arm to look at green technology. So you're doing all the right things with your resources. Just keep doing it. Don't give up hope. Don't get bummed out. So what? If you can't stand up with enthusiasm about your own area, nobody can. Nobody can. And you've got to support him, and you've got to support your cities and your enterprise zones that are involved in this fight of economic development, because there's people out there doing it with a whole lot more money than we're doing it with. But it doesn't matter in the end, because you can fly planes over California and tell them that their heart is in Colorado, and you can be Nevada and come in and just blow us out and make fun of the governor, which, let's face it, sometimes it can be easy to make fun of. You can do all of that, but in the end, is that what makes a company make a decision to place an investment in your area? No, it simply is not. They don't even know when they're going from one city to the next. So the best thing you can do is work together, have a single voice, and just keep doing what you're doing, because you guys are obviously doing a great job. And I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
This award is for partners, and last year we awarded the San Diego Regional Economic Development Corporation for their partnership in the Cali Baja Binational Mega Region. Not named after me or Mike Kelly, but. And we developed a really good relationship with San Diego, and it had been many marketing trips. As a matter of fact, we were in Chamonix this last year with the World Trade Center of San Diego. Our involvement with Team California is help us to leverage our resources. Team California sets up the trade shows for us. We attend, and what would have cost us $10,000, $15,000, we will attend in a much smaller amount with a much larger presentation. And we partner with other organizations throughout the state. They are not our competition. When somebody says, I'm looking for green energy, or I'm looking for a place for solar panels, well, how much land do you need? 100 acres? You need to go to the Imperial County. And so there's that type of respect that we have. It's a great concept that works. That same concept could work here in the Imperial County when we attend trade shows between our cities and our corporations. So I'd like you to attend and participate with Team California as we do, and you're welcome to do that as an investor of our EDC. So at this time, I'd like to present this award partnership to Team California, Mary Ingersoll, for the great job she's doing supporting the Imperial Valley in partnership with our EDC.
Thank you. This is terrific. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.